live and direct in full effect out the 832. Y'all already know how Jimmy J Smooth do. I would like to bring my brother from another like no other. That's why I call him my brother from the Canada. You know what I'm saying? He's one of my favorite fans. You know what I'm saying? No matter what I'm streaming, man, if he gonna stream there along with a few other people. He gonna stream a few minutes, no matter what I'm streaming. You know what I'm saying? But he's, you know what I'm saying, more so a boxing fan, and I definitely respect this brother right here, man. And I'm trying to get his YouTube numbers up, get it up there with me, so I can learn a lesson from brother Ty Legacy, man. You know what I'm saying? This is my boy Ty Legacy. He's from Canada, former amateur boxer. I don't know if he did any pro boxing, but we do know he does have a boxing background. You know what I'm saying? He does have a combat sport fight background. You know what I'm saying? So, without further ado, man, what's popping and what's dropping over there in Canada, brother?
Not too much. Just trying to get this winter out of the way. Like to have some. I like a heat. I'm like most brothers. I like to have heat. So getting the last few stages of this bullshit we call snow out the way, and then hopefully it'll be on and popping after that.
So tell us what city you are in Canada, because I never got an opportunity to find out what city you're in Canada.
I am in Lincoln, New Brunswick, which is if you know where Alberta is in Canada, it's on the other end. It's eastern, but I'm from
Okay.
St. John, New Brunswick. But yeah, Lincoln, New Brunswick, Canada.
Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of history out there, especially among black people, because that was one of the places that black people were allowed to settle in over there in New Brunswick, as well as Newfoundland and a couple of other spots. So
Yes,
uh,
sir.
I definitely welcome you with warm arms from a brother from another all the way in Houston, Texas. You know what I'm saying? So let me get started off with the first conversation. What do you think about our boy, as I call him, Silly Bitch White, better known to you as Dillian White? What is your conjecture and what is your take of Dillian White destroying Lucas? I used to PED steroid Brown. What's popping and what's dropping with that fight, man?
I mean, in that fight versus Brown, he did what he had to do. You got to give him credit. You always got to give a man credit when he does what he's supposed to do. But I
Yes, sir.
mean, let's be real here. Brown is a 38-year-old coming off a layoff, and on his biggest win that he had, I can't remember the fella's name. Not so long ago before his layoff, he struggled in that. So I mean, it's a good win, but it is a win by a 38-year-old man coming off a layoff that hasn't even been in shape, and to me, shouldn't even been in that level. I look at it as the same as I did because I like to call things down the middle. I looked at it the same way as I looked at Weiler Stavern. Very good win, very good to look at, good for the highlight reel, but it doesn't give you an indication of what they're going to do with their next opponents. So yeah,
I agree. I totally agree. Lucas Brown, who is a PED user, documented PED user, and the king of clenbuterol, he took that from Canelo Alvarez. So let's just, uh, even though I have my thoughts on Canelo Alvarez, but that's a whole other conversation in itself. But anyway, he is a documented PED user, and he did beat a guy by the name of Ruslan Shigiev, whatever the hell his name. I know his name is the White Tyson because there's a couple of White Tysons out there in Russia, but he's in the
yes,
heavyweight division, and he was stripped of the title when he came back, popped dirty a second time with clenbuterol.
yeah,
In particular, Lucas Brown. But Lucas Brown, on paper, he was previously undefeated. He was
hmm
supposed to be a world champion, or the smaller version of the WBA championship, and it was stripped from him when he popped dirty a second time because there was supposed to be a rematch between him and White Tyson uh, after he popped dirty. So when that couldn't go down, he had to give Ruslan Shagiev. If I'm killing your name, please forgive me. But when he had to drop off that belt. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? So, but Dillian White to be a previous undefeated guy, even though let's just keep it real, he's another putty patroller, as I like to call my less than skilled boxing fighters or any fighter in the combat sport industry. Um, he is what it is. He's a putty patroller. He got treated like a putty patroller. Dillian White, aka Silly Bitch White, snatched his manhood away from him, got that body count down, and just gone and knocked him out in the sixth round. And you know what I'm
yes,
saying?
sir.
You're supposed to treat this dude like he's a putty patroller. I
hmm
mean, you know. So you got to treat him like the way he is. So it is what it is, man. But what do you think about Dillian White calling out Deontay Wilder and said he's claiming he's going to run interference on Deontay Wilder at the Anthony Joshua fight or the Anthony Joshua media days or whatever?
To be honest with you, I don't really have a problem with it because he is the number one mandatory, and he has been. So, I mean, you can't blame a man for trying to get something that he wants. That's by no means me saying I'd rather see him versus Wilder, or that's not by no means me saying I'd rather see that fight as opposed to the Joshua fight. But I mean, it can't hurt Wilder if he's not going to get fight with Joshua right away. It never hurts to get a number one ranked mandatory underneath your belt. That just takes less scrutiny away from Wilder. But I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. I do know for a fact that Wilder has 12 months to fulfill that mandatory. So any rumblings either from Eddie Hearn or the fans where they say Wilder has to fight White, he does have to fight White, but he does not have to fight White right now. He has 12 months to fill that mandatory. So no excuses. That's why the Joshua fight can happen if it don't happen. But by no means do I pick White over Wilder. I pick Wilder to beat him by KO. And I'm sorry that the win over Brown was a good win, but it's not an indication to me that White is going to beat Wilder. No more than Wilder wasn't. It wasn't an indication when he beat Severn off a layoff that he could beat Ortiz. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and to make clear for the audience as well, with the WBC, if you pay a guy step aside money, it could take he could wait. He could shut him out for at least 2 years, from what I understand with the rules.
Okay.
But he has to take step aside money as well as unify. So it could be up to 2 years in that it by pretty much with all sanctioning bodies, but WBC is more lenient out of all the sanctioning bodies than everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
so with the IBF, you have to, unless you're unified, you have to take that mandatory. There ain't no voluntary defense in that case. You gotta fight somebody within a year. Whereas the WBC, he could shut Dillian, aka Silly Bitch White, out for as long as he want to shut him out, and then you know what I'm saying, then take that fight. But as long as Deontay Wilder, and the WBC has already said when he first called out Anthony Joshua, they had said that if Wilder wants to unify with Anthony Joshua, this is Mauricio Suleiman. He did say they will allow him to unify the title. You know what I'm saying? If it comes down to it, because there's more money in that. You know, the sanctioning body get a 3% pay cut, you know, from sanctioning fees from both fighters. So that would be that would be amazing. But I think if he can't get the Joshua fight, go to knock out Silly Bitch White. Treat him like the putty patroller that he's campaigning to be. He's just a fighting putty patroller. That's all he is. He's one of those putty patrollers that's going to do the job of Rita Repulsa and Goldar and those other guys. He's going to do the work of them. You know what I'm saying? Or kidnap one of the kids or kidnap one of the people in there and do the job of them. He's not gonna be much of a threat. He's not much of a threat. You know what I'm saying? You might have a few rounds that's gonna be close, but when Deontay Wilder knocks him out, it's gonna be that fight ain't going 5 rounds. That's the reason why I don't want to see the fight. I don't want to see the Silly Bitch White fight versus Deontay Wilder, because once Deontay Wilder hit him with a right hand or that left hook, and people, y'all sleeping on this dude's left hook. This dude has a left hook. If you don't believe me, ask that Molina guy that fought him, that gave him trouble up in Alabama. He hit that boy with a left hook and he put his ass out. You know what I'm saying? So either one is going to take Silly Bitch White out. You know what I'm saying? So y'all sleeping on that left hook. Y'all can sleep on that Alabama left hook if y'all want to.
Yeah, when you got power like that, I tend to think any punch that you throw is going to be hard.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. I mean, people just pay attention to more of the right hand than they do the actual left hook. But he does have a underrated left hook. And his jab has gotten better. He's learning on the job. And I definitely salute Mark Breland of all people. And the other guy, I can't even think of the manager, JD's, who his manager, he's this kind of like his co-trainer, but Mark Breland is he's more so in control of Wilder now than Jay Diaz at first. You know what I'm saying? Because Jay Diaz was the main trainer, and then Mark Breland just stepped in and showed him some things and stuff like that. So I definitely give props to both men for understanding who has the better of the boxing knowledge. Because when you got Olympic gold medalist / two-time world champion. I mean, who knows his boxing shit. He ain't just somebody who came off the streets who was a putty patroller of a fighter. You know, Mark Breland was in a very tough welterweight division in the late 80s when you had Aaron Davis and Simon Brown and those guys, Marlon Magic Man Starling, those guys. He was fighting in the welterweight division then against those guys, Maurice Blocker. He was fighting against those guys in that kind of welterweight division, a very tough welterweight division. So
yes,
when you got a guy with that type of IQ, that been where you've been, I mean, you can't help but to be good, but to learn on the job. You know what I'm saying? So much respect to those guys and stuff like that, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what do you think about this beef between Tank Davis versus my Fifth Ward's very own Jamel and Jamal Charlo? Because Big Charlo, who's in the Big Charlo is at the middleweight. I always get these guys' names mixed up, so I'm gonna call them Big and Little guys. Right. So I know they're twins, but I gotta differentiate between the two. But Tank, I mean, Charlo did a little Instagram, talking big shit about Adrian Broner. You know what I'm saying? Which Adrian Broner deserves criticism, as well as Tank to a certain degree. He was saying something to the effect of, I don't want to be on these dudes' undercards because every time I get on these dudes' undercards, they lose. And you know how Tank Davis is. He talked a little shit to him. So what is your thoughts on it and your point with your opinion of this situation, man? Let's take your place.
Yeah, I caught wind of it today. I seen Tank Davis's Instagram tweet. And we all know he's vocal on Instagram. I didn't know I'm glad you kind of explained it out because I didn't know what started it, but I did see the Charlo rebuttal or whatever it was. I mean, it's entertaining. Any exposure to boxing, I guess, is good for boxing, but I didn't really pay too much mind to it because, I mean, I like results that happen in the ring, and I like things that are possible to happen in the ring, and those fellas ain't never going to get in the ring given the weight divisions. I mean, there's 30 pounds between the two of them. So, I mean, I guess when you critique one guy and he's riding with one guy, you're going to get critique back. But, I mean, it's not the first time we've seen Tank be on Instagram or Charlo. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's not going to produce into a fight. So, I mean, I guess you just take it for its entertainment value, I guess. I guess it makes news.
Yeah. I totally agree with you though, because I think Charlo is saying some real stuff about both guys, and we know their ass ain't going to fight in this lifetime or the next lifetime or the next lifetime. Because number one, Tank Davis is like 5'4", 5'5".
Yeah,
and he's even though he's a knockout artist at his weight division, he doesn't rehydrate that big. He only rehydrates to 160.
Yes, sir.
And everybody knows he's a bigger fighter. He's a better fighter at his natural weight, which is the lightweight / 130 pound division. It's not like he's Robert Easter, who's 5'11" with a 76-inch reach, 77 depending on who you're talking to. It ain't possible that they may ever fight. So, I think even though Charlo means well, I think these guys should just knock it off. If you just want some attention, okay, cool. I'll laugh and giggles, shits and giggles and stuff like that. But y'all ain't gonna do nothing, man. At best, Charlo probably gonna give him a Fifth Ward smacking, like I know he gonna do if Tank try to run up on him, because he's not gonna run up on neither one of the Charlo brothers, because those dudes have an entourage out there. He did get robbed in New York, of course, but they probably caught one of those. Obviously, they got caught slipping. they had to got caught slipping because New York has a shitload of cameras, so they probably got out of the area, the tourist area, and got caught up in the game. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody made a real big. There had to be some intelligence behind him getting robbed, but I digress with that in particular. But it's shits and giggles type shit. You know what I'm saying? But
Agreed.
yeah, it's shits and giggles, man. But I will say this about Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner needs to find himself, and I hope he beats Jesse Vargas. You know what I'm saying? And I like Jesse Vargas. Jesse Vargas is a real true guy, but um, I think Adrian Broner needs to get it together. If he doesn't get it together in this fight or don't win this fight or at least come out with a draw at bare minimum, then he just hang up your boxing gloves at this point. And I
Yes,
think he
sir.
needs to get a psychiatric evaluation as well with all the crazy shit he's been saying on social media. Fuck this, fuck that, fuck my kids, and something to that effect. But he was just saying fuck everybody, and
Mm.
you need to focus on boxing. AB, let your hands go, because Jesse Vargas is gonna let his hands go. Jesse Vargas ain't gonna go balls to the wall and let hey, I mean, even though I called him a half a putty patroller, you're not gonna treat me like a putty patroller.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts against Jesse Vargas versus AB?
Well, it's usually the same story, isn't it, with AB? I don't have too many problems with him on a technical basis with boxing, but it's always the same story. Like, is his focus going to be there? Blah 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 blah. Right? But I think it goes both ways. I don't think it's always Adrian Broner's lack of focus. I think we may have seen the best Broner we've already seen. But that being aside, you know what? I'm probably going to lean towards Vargas, and the reason why I'm going to lean towards Vargas to win that fight is because we don't know what kind of Broner we're ever going to get, and it's hard for me to gauge a prediction otherwise when I just don't know what Broner's going to show up. I could probably name all kinds of reasons why I think Broner could offset certain things that Vargas does and vice versa, but I just based on the fact that he's coming off losses, and that's always crucial. That always makes a difference in a fighter going into a fight of this magnitude. I just don't know what
Right.
Broner I'm going to get.
I agree. And I think Broner should take this time to really stay laser focused and not just stay focused, but be ready when it comes to fighting and stuff like that, man. Because I want to see this dude do good, not because I want to see Adrian Broner do good, and I want to be stay a fan. Because I'm a fan, but I want to stay a fan of Adrian Broner. But he does a lot of fuckboy shit on in the boxing ring and off the boxing ring. So you know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna take my time and beat up on Adrian Broner because 78 Sports, Ticket TV, all Fanon has already beat up on him. So I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, as the old folks used to say. But I want this dude to win, not just for him, but for his kids, because this dude got 6 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to see this dude win for that very reason. I don't want his kids
Right.
to come back 7 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, even 20 years from now, and say my daddy was a four-time world champion, a possible Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? And his ass is broke. I don't want to see that shit. I just don't want to have the same athlete story of him being broke and stuff like that. I just don't want to see that story. Um,
No, I agree.
yeah. Yesterday, the WBA champion Tyrone Zuich. I want to say I don't want to kill the guy's name, but he's a German guy. 22 wins, 12 knockouts. He stopped Isaac Ekbo in 2 rounds. Um, Last March, he won a 5 round decision, ending early, which had opened up, which he opened up a he won because of a clash of heads. Excuse me. So
Okay.
he did his thing. He did his thing yesterday. I didn't get a chance to see that fight in particular because I forgot all about the fight. Man, did you get a chance to look at that fight in particular?
No, I didn't catch that particular one. I didn't catch that myself.
Yeah, but from what I understand, he may be fighting. What's the guy's name? He beat Eubanks. I think he's got the position to fight the fight George Groves once he comes out. Yes, that's what the article says.
Okay.
Ultimately, he's going to have to fight the winner of Callum Smith, George Groves. Which at this point, I feel Groves is going to stop Callum Smith. Do you see anything different about that fight?
George Groves, Callum Smith. No, I'm right on board with you. I think experience plays a little bit of a role. I normally don't call stoppages, but I feel that Groves is going to stop him. My
Yeah,
honest
because
opinion.
I think if Eubanks ain't gonna didn't stop him,
Mm,
I don't see Callum Smith at his skill level stopping him. You know what I'm saying?
no.
Even though Groves got a suspect chin, not necessarily a bad chin, but it's very suspicious. If you hit it, you know what I'm saying? If you're able to hit it, you're gonna cause some problems for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't see Callum Smith winning that fight at all. But I would like to see 168 for a change unified. I want Ben Benitez fight Groves. I want what's the guy? What's the Mexican guy from the WBO champion? He fights for Top Rank AKA's Top State. What's the guy's name?
Ramirez.
Gilberto Ramirez. Yeah, Gilberto Ramirez. I would
Yep.
definitely love to see the David Benitez versus Gilberto Ramirez fight. That'll be a pretty good fight. I think Ramirez would just simply outbox Ben Benitez because to me Ben Benitez is just he has a jab, but it's lazy as fuck. But if you get hit by it, he's gonna feel some pop to it. But I
Yes,
think
sir.
Ramirez would just straight up outbox this dude and just straight up send him to school. Now Ramirez had vulnerabilities, but I think with Ben Benitez, I think if Ben Benitez don't catch Ramirez in early, he's gonna get destroyed. Because I've seen Ramirez have boxing ability and he can brawl it out too. He got good brawler tactics as well. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
uh, I think that whole division just need to be simply unified. Everybody from the IBF, WBO to the WBC guys just come together and just go and uh, unify. It's too many good fighters at 168 not to have unification.
Yeah, I agree. I just had a conversation on my channel there with Trey X about that. No, I'm fully agree with that 100%.
I'm gonna look at a boxing scene article. According to WBA President Gilberto Mendoza, he is very surprised by the recent decision to temporarily suspend Canelo Saul Alvarez. He was suspended ahead of his unification match, IBF, the WBO, IBO, WBA, WBC championship match, because he tested positive for clenbuterol. The rematch is scheduled for T-Mobile Arena May the 5th. Let me go down this article. Canelo will have to state his care in the hearing with the Nevada State Athletic Commission on the 10th. Then the commission will make a final decision on whether he can and can't fight Canelo Alvarez on the 5th. Mendoza
Yep.
believes the hearing is not fair to Canelo and sees no reason for it. The sanctioning body believes Canelo, who claims the test was failed, is a direct link to the consumption of contaminated meat and finds it very hard for the Nevada State Athletic Commission to set this hearing date. When they likely have enough evidence right now, it will make the ruling clear for that matter, including the tests that were completely clean up in March. Um, Let me see if there's. He said, "I'm not sure where they dragging it out. I'm a little bit surprised of Nevada's decision. I am positive that Canelo is innocent because we had a long career where he's never had any positive tests, and some strange things have been raised this week where Triple G is talking about injections." Mendoza said to ESPN Deportes, "With respect to the commission, I think they had handled it immediately, and I'm very pleased with the test results in mid-February. It was analyzed later that month, and we feel that it is unfair to have a hearing. I think the due process the commission was to attack prior to the case immediately. Why? Because it seems uh, they are reacting to the comments of Canelo and Golovkin from prior week, and I do not understand this because if the commission already has the drug test result that came back after the adverse result of Canelo, so why are they mentioning a temporary suspension? They could have made this decision privately, so why raise this publicly? To say they are going to make a temporary suspension when it's easy to make a definite suspension if they have enough evidence to make the decision is very strange to me. What is your conjecture on Mendoza's defense of Canelo Alvarez?
Um, to say it probably not the most intelligent way as far as them doing this suspension. To me, who gives a fuck? Because to me, it's just them it's just them saving face now. Because number one, I'm almost wondering about the timing of it. I mean, Triple G's been a little bit more vocal. So are they trying to appease him too? The fight's already tainted somewhat, the rematch, which I think is going to happen because of the PED problems that is already involved in the fight. So to me, it's just like collateral damage. They're trying to clean it up. And number one, they're being very vague about it. And that's why I believe it's just collateral damage that they're trying to clean up because they're not even telling me specifically what he's suspended for. Like, what the fuck is Canelo suspended for? Is he not allowed to box? You know what I mean? They're not even telling me what he's suspended for. So, I mean, I'm not paying much mind to it. I mean, they did the hearing. I don't know if the motives behind them doing the hearing was the same as they would any other fighter. But I mean, I'm just solely under the strong opinion, Jimmy J, that this fight's not gonna be halted. I can almost guarantee when they're done doing their dealings, the fight's still gonna go on. It's a month or whatever it is before the fight. I just believe it's solely to save face because I just find it awfully funny that once some heat's been put down on Canelo and Triple G got a little bit vocal, making accusations that he believes he was on something before that. Now all of a sudden they got to make it look like they got to do something with Canelo, and they're not even being specific on what they're saying he's suspended from. So I mean, to me, it's just collateral damage.
So you believe Canelo had took PEDs?
I'll put it to you like this. I'm a Canelo fan, but that doesn't matter because all fighters get the objective light. Canelo, if we look at the evidence that we have, that's not speculation. We do know he had a banned substance in his system. We do know his claim was meat. We also do know that it is possible that it is the meat. But what people may not be looking at is that's not the only possible way where he could get that in the system. So that doesn't mean you got to sign and co-sign off that, oh, it automatically had to be the meat, because that's not the only way you can get in your system. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is in order for me to believe that Canelo got the substance in his system, I would have to believe that Canelo, who an athlete at that caliber that lives in an area that's well known for tainted meat, said fuck it and still ate the meat. Like to me that's hard to believe. And then they come up with statements saying, well, he has people in place, nutritionists and stuff, so this stuff don't happen. It has to be an oversight. That don't even make no sense. If anything, you're making my suspicion go higher because you're telling me it shouldn't have happened, but it did. It'd be the equivalent if you had a $15 million opportunity, Jimmy, and you came to my hometown and you knew if you ate the meat, you could jeopardize that $15 million opportunity. Would you eat the fucking meat? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. And I think to jump on your point, it's kind of hard for me to believe that he did intentionally do something. I will say that to be fair, even though I don't give a fuck about Golden Boy, I'm gonna put that on record, and I've said it multiple times. Every time a Golden Boy fighter fights, I clown their ass. With that being said, it's kind of hard for me to say he intentionally did anything. And with clenbuterol, you don't take big doses of clenbuterol. Otherwise, your heart is going to be punching out your chest. You know what I'm saying? Yep. From what Dante's Boxing Nation have described. Clenbuterol, you only take small doses of clenbuterol anyway. Mm-hmm. But if it is the meat, like Tom Loeffner said, he need to report where did he get this meat from, so people, athletes of all sports, can
Yeah.
be like, okay, I don't need to fuck with this.
Hmm.
Athletes of all sports need to be on alert because there was a guy, I think his name Dwayne Brown of the Houston Texans. I don't know if he played for the Texans or not, but Dwayne Brown of the Houston Texans tested positive for clenbuterol uh, months ago, but they found out it was a meat contamination. So if it is meat contamination, Canelo Alvarez need to backtrack on where he ate it. And I'm with Tom Loeffner on this. And again, I'm not a Triple G fan by any means because of the fuck shit that Abel Sanchez said. But you do need to come out and say where did he ate it. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Because I think with the cockiness and the I'll say the cockiness with the cockiness and the confidence that Canelo Alvarez have, it's kind of hard to believe that he would intentionally do something. But we can say that about a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? It has been alleged that Evander Holyfield took PEDs. We can't prove it, but it had been alleged
Hmm.
that he took PEDs. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And we can say that about a lot of guys. You know what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying? So it is what it is with Canelo Alvarez. So are you saying that the fight going to still play on? Is what you're saying?
I strongly believe it does, and my reason for it is not just the amount of money that's involved, but that's been invested, but it's just that they're not showing any due process because when the sanctioning body came out and declared him innocent, well, that's not how it works. What on my understanding, what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to take his claim and then make a definitive decision whether they want to accept his claim, not say if he's innocent or not 24 hours later, because to be honest with you, they don't know that he's innocent. They don't know it's not a 100% fact that he get it off the meat. It's just a fact that it's possible that he get it off the meat. So for them just to come out and say things like, for them to come out and say, well, he's automatically innocent and without due process goes to show you what their intentions and motives are. And then on top of them to give this man a suspension and not even tell you what he's suspended from, because I don't know if you know, I don't even know what he's suspended from. Just all those things combined, I'm almost willing to bet the house that this
Well,
fight goes on.
well, with the Nevada State Athletic Commission, I think they're going to save face and uh, uh, overturn that suspension and let them fight because Canelo Alvarez have a shitload of options in
Yes,
terms
sir.
of money. Let's say Canelo Alvarez was to come to Houston, Texas, and they had to fight at. They're going to have it at a big stadium, one of the big stadiums. They're going to either have it at Minute Maid Park, or they're going to have it at what's that other Reliance Stadium. So he
Hmm.
can make a lot of money for a lot of these border states like Texas, anywhere in Texas, from San Antonio to Dallas to fucking Houston. He can go to
Hmm.
Arizona and sell out at the Phoenix at the Arizona Cardinal Stadium and shit like that. So they're not gonna want to miss out on that money. my point is they don't want to miss out on that big payday, so they're gonna lift the suspension because if he goes somewhere else, not only they're gonna lose money in ticket revenue, they're gonna lose money in hotel revenue, gambling revenue, all types of shit.
Yes, sir.
So it's too big of a fight for them to lose and miss out on. So I think they're gonna go and lift that suspension and be like, Canelo, if you do this again, we're gonna give you. They're gonna give him a verbal warning, talking about he's gonna get a 1 year suspension. That's exactly what's gonna happen. So that's the way I see it. But a lot of people, like my boy Coach Sheldon Harrison, they were like, I hope he gets banned, which I feel Coach Sheldon Harrison. He feel the same way about Golden Boys that I do. But at the same time, they're not gonna miss out on that millions of or possibly billions of dollars of revenue because we're
No.
not even including the pay-per-view receipts that may come up. He may get at bare minimum, the fight is going to make about 800,000 in pay-per-view revenue.
Oh,
At
yes.
bare minimum, they're going to get about between 800,000 and 1.4 at very best. They're not going to break Mayweather's record. It's not going to happen. But it's definitely going to be a million people for sure, for sure.
Yeah, for me,
But
sorry,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
But they're going to get billions of dollars in terms of revenue because a lot of people from Mexico, a lot of people who are fight fans are going to spend a lot of money at the casino betting. There's going to be a shitload of people that's going to bet, going to bet they life savings and shit like that for some cases, and it does happen, which explains
Yes.
the suicide rates over there in Vegas. Let's just keep that real. So it's too much money fucking involved in that. They're not going to fuck that up. It's not going to happen.
No, no, I don't believe so either. I would just pretty well say in a nutshell, and I like Canelo, but that's besides the point. If somebody or if anybody out there is suspicious of Canelo based on the fact that they find it hard to believe that athlete in Canelo's position and of caliber would eat meat, taking the chance on this opportunity for a fight, and they're highly suspicious of him, I don't blame them. Canelo fan or not, I don't give a fuck. I don't blame them. It's just if you're looking at these guys all as the same and being objective for every fighter, I don't blame somebody one bit for being highly suspicious of Canelo. And anybody that don't think this fight's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're not fucking thinking it through. I think there's a lot of money involved in this fight, and there's been a lot of money invested because Canelo has been invested to go up to reach a certain point. So I mean, to throw all that money away and not take the money, come and get your get back. No, I can't see that, Jimmy.
Oh yeah. Now let me ask you this question here: if the winner wins the fight, do you see any one of them taking the Charlo fight or the possible Demetrius Andrade fight? Because Demetrius Andrade, from what I understand, he's going to be fighting some Russian guy for the mandatory spot. I think the IBF mandatory spot, from what I understand. Hold on for a
Yep.
second. Let me. Do you
I
think
know the
those
dude.
guys?
I know the guy you're talking about. I just can't pronounce his name. I think his last name starts with a D or something.
Let me, because I can look this up right now.
Okay.
A lot of crazy shit going on in the world of boxing. Man. That's why I
Yes,
love the
sir.
sport of boxing, man. I respect the sport of boxing, man. Um, Let me go down the line. Okay, his name is Sergey Dev- Derevin Derevinchenko.
Okay. Yeah. I knew it started with the D. I couldn't even attempt to say his name.
Yeah, because he's pretty much going to frog leap everybody because the IBF rankings is this: Sergey Derevinchenko, then they have an unranked position which is number two. Danny
Yep.
Jacobs number three, Jamel Charlo number four, Canelo Alvarez, who's already uh, gonna that's gonna change. Canelo Alvarez is number five, and Demetrius Andrade is number six. And Daniel Jacobs is closer to the mandatory position versus Billy Joe Saunders than
Hmm.
Demetrius Andrade with the WBO rankings. But from what I understand, they supposed to go on and make the fight between Andrade and Derevinchenko.
Yep.
Who do you think is that fight and why?
Out of the Boo Boo fight.
Yeah.
Oh, to meet you, I got Boo Boo Andre all day on that. I think he's one of the most skilled guys out there. But based on I seen the other fella not as extensively as Boo Boo.
Hmm.
But I just Boo Boo. I believe I don't know if he switches stances or not, but he does. When he throws his jab, believe it or not, a lot of world class boxers, I find when they throw their jabs, they're a little bit lazy with it. He's not, and he's fast and he's athletic. He has good head movement. He's just a complete fighter. I would definitely pick Boo Boo Andre uh, by a decision. It's hard for me to pick Boo Boo Andre, not pick for Boo Boo Andre in that whole division. If you want the honest truth, I'm that high on Boo Boo Andre, but I have to
Me
reserve a little
too.
bit of judgment because I got to see him acclimate a little bit better first, right? But yeah, definitely, I'm picking to answer your question. I'm picking Boo Boo Andre on that all day decision.
Yeah. I think Boo Boo is going to outbox him, but I will say this: Boo Boo do not need to get into a inside fighting. Do not need to get into an inside fight versus this guy because he is a very good inside fighter, and
Yes.
that is his strength. So he need to use his reach advantage, his southpaw, slick southpaw ability in his defense to just go on and school this dude and possibly go and get his ass up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because he is a skilled
Yeah.
guy. He does have 10 knockouts out of 12 fights, so he definitely gets much respect in that department. Who is Billy Joe
Yeah.
Saunders supposed to fight in his next fight? I'm not sure who Billy Joe's supposed to fight.
Martin Murray.
Oh my goodness. Why do motherfuckers bring that putty controller out for some odd reason? They just, god damn, man. When is people gonna start fighting the monster, man? When they gonna start fighting Goldar? When they gonna start fighting Scorpina? When they gonna start fighting the real monsters up in this bitch, man? I'm tired of the Power Rangers fighting, or people that's supposed to be the Power Rangers fighting the putties all the goddamn time.
Yeah, I think it might be a well, the position that he's in, Billy Joe Saunders, and it's no disrespect to Mark Murray. I think it's kind of it's a stay busy fight because I'm under the strong belief to touch on the question you asked me earlier. I think if Triple G wins the fight, he's going to go unified with Saunders because we did hear Triple G say in the past, my goal is to unify. And you know what? As much as I like Charlo, I wouldn't blame Triple G for that or even Canelo because if I had a chance to unify over mandatory, I'm going to take that too. They're eventually going to have to see Charlo as long as he stays winning. But just to stay on that subject, I strongly believe Triple G is going for Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo, I'm not sure, but it's speculation, opinion on my part. I think that Canelo would try to unify with Saunders before he would Charlo because it is neither one of those sides seem too interested in Charlo, but that's a different story.
So, who would you pick between Billy Joe Saunders and Triple G? Who would win that fight in your personal opinion?
Well, we've seen that Billy Joe Saunders he can box. I mean, there's no taking that away from him. We've seen that in the Lemieux fight, but I think that people should only take that fight so much is a gauge because no, with no disrespect with Lemieux, because I think Lemieux's still a problem. Billy Joe Saunders had a guy in there whose style suited him. So you're going to look good when you got good ability and you're in there with the guy whose style you're supposed to look good. But if you watch Billy Joe Saunders, he does box well, but he doesn't really step on his punches. And to me, you got to have some power to separate yourself from your opponent. And I just don't know if he has the power for to separate himself from Triple G. He could probably take advantage of Triple G's lack of head movement, but I think another good thing you do with Triple G, if you look at other fights in the past, is you can back him up because he goes into a basic high guard. I just don't think Billy Joe Saunders has the power to back Triple G up. And with for 12 rounds of consistent cutting off the ring from Triple G, and he does have a good jab himself, I would probably slightly lean towards Triple G.
At this point, if you asked me this question over a year ago, I would pick Triple G. But right
Yeah,
now, the way Billy Joe Saunders is being cocky and got his confidence live and direct,
yeah,
I would pick Billy Joe Saunders at this point because
yeah,
I think Triple G has slowed down to a bit to some degree. Either that or his level of competition has gotten a lot better. And I said this once and I said it again. I believe Daniel Jacobs straight up beat his ass. I could only give Triple G only 3 rounds clear cut. Every other
yeah, me
round,
too.
every other round, I would say Daniel Jacobs won, and mostly because of activity. So I don't see how Triple G still holding that title, from my understanding. But I think if Canelo don't finish him off, I'm for sure Billy Joe Saunders is gonna finish him off. That's just my personal opinion.
And that's
Uh,
fair because I think it's fair to pick either one of them because the main objective in boxing is to win the majority of rounds. You only what's required is only 7 out of 12 rounds, and we do know Billy Joe Saunders can win rounds against Triple G. So I mean, it's very possible. That's why I said I slightly lean towards Triple G, but I wouldn't say that Billy Joe Saunders isn't capable of it by no means. I wouldn't say that. I just didn't look at the Lemieux fight too much is an indication of what I'm going to see in the Triple G fight, because Lemieux's a different fighter than Triple G, and his style does play into Billy Joe Saunders. But that's fair what you're saying too.
Yeah, I totally believe, I totally believe that Billy Joe at this point would beat Triple G. But
I think
I
Billy
could,
Joe's got a better chance of beating Canelo than he does Triple G, to be honest with you. Just based off style, make fights. I really do.
yeah, because Canelo is flat-footed, but I think Canelo will find a way to slow Billy Joe down. You know,
Hmm.
I think he would find a way. I think for the first, I would say it would look a lot like Amir Khan. Uh, I think with Billy Joe versus Canelo, it would look like a lot like Amir Khan versus Canelo, except except for the knockout. I don't think he would
Yeah.
knock him out as easy as Amir Khan because, of course, Amir Khan is a chinny dude. He was chinny at 140 in his other divisions, but
Yeah.
I think he would slow him down. I think he would beat that dude up to the body at the end, possibly knock him out, but not the same way he did Amir Khan. I think he would ultimately find a way to slow down because you
Exactly.
know
Yeah.
Canelo does struggle with southpaws. Let's not get it twisted. Laura sent him to school, and you can argue that Austin Trout, a previously undefeated guy, and the number two not super welterweight at that particular time, sent him to school. You could argue both guys beat him. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But somehow, some way, Canelo found a way to win those fights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Canelo does
Uh,
have lateral movement problems.
oh yeah, I agree. With Laura Hurd, who you think win between Laura and Hurd, and why?
Lauren Hurd.
Yeah, Arizona Laura and Jared Hurd. What is your take on that?
Uh, I think it's a good fight. I seen her slim down a little bit. I think Hurd gets a little bit shit on a little bit too much, because a lot of people say that he's untechnical and unfundamentally sound sometimes. But I
Mhm.
find if you watch Hurd, when he does get unfundamentally sound, it's usually when the pace of the fight turns up, he kind of loses discipline. But I mean, Laura can box, but does Laura have the power to separate himself? So I don't really have a pick yet, but I do give Hurd a lot more chances than a lot of other people are, because he can be unfundamentally sound, but he could be fundamental too. So I mean, people got to look like that. I do believe that Laura is going to be on the back foot. I mean, I think it's inevitable that Hurd's going to walk him down, and it's going to be a matter of, can Laura keep him
Mhm.
off him enough to win rounds and to win the fight, because I wouldn't pick Laura by no means to stop him. So I guess we'll find out, but it's a good fight. It's not an easy fight it's a hard fight maybe for her boxing wise, as far as getting the rounds and winning the rounds, but it's a very hard fight for Laura, I think, through grittiness.
Oh yeah, and like Tony Harrison was outboxing him, and then all of a sudden, bam, there goes
That,
Tony Harrison. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
Uh,
sir.
so so I mean,
And I'd
I,
like to
I
add too that a
go
lot of
ahead.
guys get shit on for awkwardness. But when you train boxing, especially defensively, you train conventionally, and some people fight unconventionally. So that's why these awkward motherfuckers give these guys problems, because they don't fight conventionally. Like an example would be, if a guy throws a right hand, you usually get ready to catch that left hook. But when you got guys that don't conventionally do what they're supposed to do, it throws you off. So a lot of these fighters, I think Keith Thurman's one of them, that have skill, but they got that slight bit of awkwardness to them, usually give people a hard time. And that's how I kind of look at her. Yes, he gets unfundamental, but he gets awkward when he's unfundamental. Plus, he has the skills on top of it. So Laura, being a conventional fighter, he's going to be in with the big dude that somewhat awkward, and that could give you problems. So I think people should take that in consideration.
I totally agree with that. I think people should take Jerry Hurd in consideration. I w- my mind telling me to go with Hurd, but it's something that's telling me in my back of my mind that Laura's gonna do something to this dude, and Probably gonna give him a little Cuban boxing lesson, but this is a tough one. I could see this as a draw. I could
Yeah.
truly see this as a draw. If it goes the distance, and not nobody get knocked out by the 12th round, I could see this becoming another draw, and they may have
Yeah.
a rematch. I could see this.
That's very possible because Laura can steal rounds, right? You don't have to be knocking somebody out. You just got to win the round. 7 of them.
Yeah, and my thing with Laura, and I'm not trying to diss the guy, but he needs to learn how to get guys up out of there because he's getting at the age now to where, there's nothing wrong with doing the sweet science, but when you got a guy hurt like he has in several
Yeah.
fights,
Yeah.
sometimes go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, I would disagreeing with you. Sometimes you got to sit down on your punches, and Laura's not really known for doing that. My homeboy Trey X made a good point. When he's taught, he says the same thing as I do. You got to kind of have the power to separate yourself from your opponent, not just to keep him off you and for you to take over the pace of the fight, but also in the minds of the judges, right? So I just don't know if Laura has that. So it requires sitting down on your punches, just like Billy Joe Saunders with Triple G. It requires sitting down on your punches, which requires you hold your position and you take a risk. So to me, it to look for Laura to keep her get respect at her, he's going to have to sit down on his punches and take a risk. Because if he doesn't do that, he's not going to keep Hurt off of him. And if he doesn't go that route, then he's going to have to try to outbox him and get to 7 rounds. So it's kind of a hard one for me, to be honest.
Yeah, it is real hard for me because Jared Hurd is a big dude. He walks around, from what I understand, at 180, 185, something like that. But he's pretty big. This guy's a big dude. And Laura walks around in the 160s and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Laura gotta dig in deep, man. That's the way I see it. See that particular fight popping off, man.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
Saddam Ali versus Liam Smith. How does that fight play out and why?
Oh yeah, I seen that last night. I seen that last night. You cut out for a minute. Who was that? Who was Ali fighting again?
Liam Smith.
Oh, Liam Smith. Uh, I like to give Liam Smith a little bit of credit. I mean, he gets in the ring, but I mean, I don't know if Ali is a strong force at the division he's at right now. Like, I think him fighting, it's one of those things you got to take the smoke with the mirrors. You can't really look at that Cotto fight, but Ali does have good lateral movement, good head movement. The man can box. He knows how to win rounds. Liam Smith, I never seen, or sorry, the Smith brother there. I never seen anything really special that he does. So I would have to go with Ali based on that. And even though Ali lost to Vargas, experience is experience. He still fought that caliber of fighter. He was doing well till he got dropped. So to answer your question is why, that's why I would pick Ali over him by decision.
Oh yeah, I mean, my thing with Ali had a guaranteed of $700,000 to fight Miguel Cotto.
Hmm.
So when a guy like Miguel Cotto, who's eventually first ballot Hall of Fame, at worst second ballot, he's no. If he goes past the second, I'm going to call the Boxing Hall of Fame in Canistoga right now and be like, yo, y'all fucking up. But anyway, uh, when Miguel Cotto calls, you better take that fight. That is my thing is, I'm not knocking why Errol Spence didn't take the fight because Errol there was some janky contract things that was going on in there. So I can understand because Errol Spence could always make that money right back. But
Yeah.
when a guy like Ali gets that call to fight a Miguel Cotto, a future Hall of Famer, you take that fight. So with that
Yeah.
being said, I think Ali may stop Liam Smith, may have a late round stoppage, maybe a 10th or 11th round stoppage. Hopefully
Yeah.
sooner than that, but I think he's going to have a little bit of a tough time trying to knock him out. But once he get him, he's going to get him. So I think Rozier going to come up with a game plan, and they gonna knock this dude out.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't complain about it. I don't complain about in any fight. So I mean, I'll definitely tune in. But yeah, I don't even got to lean or think about it. I would pick Ali just like you did.
So, what was your conjecture of Terrence Crawford talking bad about Mikey Garcia? Mikey Garcia said the reason why he would not fight Terrence Crawford is because he runs too much, aka he a nigga he can't hit. Because that's the conjecture of that. He's one of those Negroes you can't hit. If it's a white boy, he fights like a nigga, and I can't hit him. You know what I'm saying? So, what is your take on Mikey Garcia saying that in Terrence Crawford's clapback? Because did you see the Terrence Crawford's clapback to that?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've seen all that. Yeah.
So, what is your thoughts on that, man?
I like Marquis Garcia. He's obviously a talented fighter. He's an accomplished fighter. But I mean, let's be real here. When you're saying he's going to move and run around the ring, that's just a way of saying he's a little bit more difficult style-wise for me to fight than Errol Spence. And when you say things like, well, he's going to use his height and his reach advantage, well, what the fuck you think he's going to do? That's what he's supposed to do. It's called an advantage for a reason. So all I got out of that was this man's style and his skills matched with me is a harder task for me to have to overcome, if I can overcome it, than Errol Spence stylistically. That's all that is. I like Mikey Garcia, but I'm not an apologist for any boxer. When you say a style is not good for you, or when you word it the way Mikey Garcia did, you're just saying it's a harder task than point A is a harder task than point B, so I'd rather go with fucking B. That's it. I don't care what anybody says. If you didn't get that out of that, then you don't want to get it. The man's came out and said he's going to use his height and his reach advantage. Well, that's what the fuck you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? He ain't going to stand there and shorten up his punches. Now, come on now. As far as Crawford clapping back, he just pretty well said, if you want this work, come get this work. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, he said I sure was running. I was running upside your head in the amateurs. So I'm like, hell, that was a good clapback on that. And
yeah, I don't blame it because I don't blame him because I don't even like when fans talk like that. I'm under the opinion that if I'm fighting in the same 20 foot by 20 foot space as you, I don't give a shit if I got to spin around in circles and do cartwheels. If I can figure out how to hit you in the same amount of space more times than you hit me, then you lost, motherfucker. That's it.
And my thing is, Mikey Garcia don't need to think that Errol Spence is a tender either, because Errol Spence ain't no tender either.
No.
Because, and not just that, people don't realize that Errol Spence does have some boxing ability as well. So if he gets clapped on or take a hard right hand, which I don't see Mikey Garcia landing the right hand on Errol Spence, but if that does happen, he will box. He knows when to box. But Errol Spence preferred to get that body count down. And I think if he fights Errol Spence within the next year or two without unifying at 140 or even allowing himself to grow at 140, he's going to get stopped for 5 rounds. Maybe sooner than that, because Errol Spence is not a joke either. Errol Spence will beat your body up to the point to where you're not going to want to throw back. You're not going to want to, you just going to want to be like, hey, just knock me the fuck out at this point. And Errol Spence, surprisingly, is in the top 5 of punches landed against opponents' punches landed. So he has better defense than what people realizes. And not just that, he hits you so hard to the body. He kills your body to the point to where when you get hit with a perpetual level of body shots, because that's why I say he reminds me of Mike McCallum, old school version of Mike McCallum. Jab you to the body, hit you to the body in the first rounds, and then go and get you up out of there. Yep. His body work is so good to where you're not gonna want to hit him back, and that's where he goes for the kill. So Mikey Garcia need to think long and hard before he moves up to 147 and fights anybody at 147. Uh not just Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. Hell, I think Keith Thurman would possibly give him problems, would pose a major problem to him. I give him a better chance against the latter two against
I think
Keith. Go ahead.
I think Thurman knocks him out because I do like Garcia, but Garcia is not above acclimation processes in my mind. There is a process to moving up weight and stuff like that. I mean, these weight divisions do matter. So what people need to understand sometimes is just because you see a guy look one way at a certain weight, don't mean that's going to transfer at another weight. So if I can say that about, I got to see Terrence Crawford with Horn to see how he adjusts and adapts to 147. I'm saying it to Mikey Garcia. He's not hardly acclimated to 140, let alone to be talking 147. And Errol Spence is in the trial run, bro, to try to figure that out. Like, he's going to be the smaller man. If people can't see that, all they got to do is look at the Lipinets fight. Now, Mikey Garcia did win the Lipinets fight, but Mikey Garcia didn't quite, in my opinion, look like he did down at 130 and 135, and that's because he moved up divisions. So what the fuck does people think that's is Spencer's going to do? So you know what I mean? I'm not into these guys that are not even acclimated to a division talking about another guy in a division. I don't even really. We'll see when you get there. You know what I mean? I'm just wondering why Garcia is even talking about 147 when you got to fight with Linares and Loma around the corner, and he can get a significant fight out of that. But I don't know.
My thing with Garcia, even though I felt Garcia won all 12 versus Lipinets, there was some times in the fight to where I'm thinking if he don't stop taking these fucking right hands, Lipinets is gonna end the fight, and he's clearly winning this fucking fight. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, he was able to stop taking right hands at some point in the later part of the fight, but he was eating some sharp right hands. If he eats those left hands versus Errol Spence, he's gonna be out of there. If he eats a left hand on the right hand, whichever one Terrence Crawford hits him with, he's gonna go nighty night, Bazine nighty night against Terrence Crawford. I think the best that Mikey Garcia needs to do, he needs to stay at 140, because if he try to move back down to 135, he might have trouble there. So I think he needs to stay at 140, try to unify at that division, and if he can't unify, or if he does unify, okay, now you're able to move up to 147. Take your time and move up to 147. Don't try to get into the fight with body count Spence, because body count Spence is gonna do what he do. He gonna get that body count down, and hopefully I'm able to go see that fight versus Akbo. I can't even think of the Mexican guy's name. I'm sorry if I'm killing your name, but I'm definitely planning on seeing that fight if everything goes as planned. But don't get in there with Spence just yet. You're not ready for Spence. Unify the title first, and then go after body count Spence.
Yeah, I agree. You got to acclimate to a division, and part of acclimation is not going for the number one guy in the division you just came to. I mean, that's just, to me, that's just common sense. That's just putting fanboy shit aside, because with all credit to Lipinets, but I'm sure that a lot of people are in agreement that Lipinets did better than what people thought, and he looked better, and that's because Mikey moved up in weight. So I'm just a strong believer, when you go to a new division, you acclimate properly. So to be clear, I'm not saying Mikey Garcia is not capable of doing it. He just got to go through the process like everybody else does. Because go ask Khan and Brooke, who jumped up weight divisions trying to take on the best one up there, and ask how that worked out when they didn't go through an acclimation process. Because you had Brooke with garlic butter. You had Brooke with garlic butter dripping all out of his eye, and you had fucking Khan with the soul knocked out of his body. So you got to acclimate.
And the thing is, when you're moving up in these weight divisions, you got to have the skill level to move up to these weight divisions. So otherwise, if you don't have that power, if you don't have the skill level, you definitely got to have the power to move up there. If you don't have the power, you're gonna be out of there. You know what I'm saying? It's only less than 20 fighters moved up to 4 different divisions. There's only off the top of my head, I think there's only 5 fighters that moved to 5 different divisions. You know, Manny Pacquiao, Mayweather, Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray are the guys to mention and stuff like that. Oscar De La Hoya and those guys. So those guys had the skill level, and in Oscar De La Hoya and Tommy Hearns' case, they had the power to move up. You know what I'm saying? So when you have that power, when you have the power to move up, that translates somewhere. But if you don't have those two things going for you, stay in your lane when it comes to moving up in these weight divisions, because you will get knocked out. People will laugh in your face while you're doing right hands at these dudes, man.
Yeah, and you must have defense too, because when you move up in weight, you are fighting guys that not only hit harder, but they have token shots from bigger men than you. So you got to have your defensive sharp, because you got to throw more punches, because it requires more punches because you moved up in weight, and that requires taking more risk. And when you take more risk, you got to have your defense on point too. So all that shit's got to be taken in consideration. If I could suggest, if I was advising Terrence Crawford, well, take the Horn fight before you go take a Spencer Thurman fight, then I can definitely tell Mikey Garcia, or suggest Mikey Garcia goes through the same process as everybody else before fucking fighting Errol Spence. This is 147, not 140.
Yeah, this is body count Spence. So you're gonna be a part of the body count, man. You're gonna be at the board fucking with goddamn Errol Spence, man. So I think Mikey needs to slow the fuck down when it comes to talking about that Errol Spence, because Errol Spence would love to not only get an easy payday whooping your ass, but you know what I'm saying, getting another man down. So you know you gotta, weight divisions are weight divisions for a reason, and weight divisions are to be respected. You gotta respect the weight division.
Yes, sir. They were actually put there for fighter safety. So I mean, if something's put in place for a fighter safety, then the common sense tells you there's got to be a certain way you got to go about it.
Exactly, because like I explained on Ty Legacy show, when you have less fighting range, which is what boxing is, when it comes to boxing, you have less fighting ranges than other combat sports. So you can't kick your way out of a punching match. You can't elbow your way out of it. You can't dirty box your way out of it. You got to find yourself. You got to have the skill level to get your way out of it. You have to use your head. You have to use other facets of boxing. You know what I'm saying? Of the sport. You have to use other facets of the sport. So you gotta respect these weight divisions. These weight divisions were put there for a damn reason.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, man, it is what it is. So, have you kept up with 135, and what is your take on 135? And what is your take on the Linares Lomachenko fight, and how does that play out?
I'm gonna have to go with Loma on that one, but to apply my logic that I've been saying earlier on your show, I got Loma winning, but I got him winning with resistance, because this is his first fight at 135. I don't believe he's going to look quite the same as he did at 130 and 126. So I do have Loma winning. I find that Linares sometimes he has good hands. He does what a lot of boxers don't do, which is rare, is he'll throw combinations off the rip. But I find he admires his work a little bit too much. He doesn't make a defensive move after he puts those combinations off. And I find, because he's either still in range after he throws those punches, combinations, that Lomachenko can counter shot him. And just based on what I see technically, skill-wise, and I would have to go with Lomachenko, but not without resistance by decision, because I don't think that Loma's going to be a big puncher at 135. He's not a big puncher now. He's a respectable puncher, but he's not a big puncher. So I'm going to have to go with Loma, and I think it's a good fight. I think for whatever reason that he's not getting unifications at 130 and 126, he might as well go up there. He might as well go up there and try to get Linares out of the way.
I agree. I think he should go on and treat Linares as the fighter that he should treat him like, and go on and get Linares out the way. You know, of course, Linares is going to have some resistance. He's a tough guy. He's a tough Venezuelan guy. So, just go on and get him out the way and try to unify that division as well. You know, just like I told Robert Easter in person, I had the opportunity to take a picture with Robert Easter as well. It's on my Facebook page. I told him, go on and unify, man. If you're able to, go on and unify. You know what I'm saying? But what I forgot to tell him in person is, if nobody want to unify down there, then go on and move up to 140. You know what I'm saying? Because he does. He's a real skinny. When I met Robert Easter, the guy's a real skinny guy. I mean, he's a real lean, skinny guy. So I'm assuming he's not too far at weight. If he at best, he's probably like maybe 10 pounds from his weight division or something like that, if I can say so. But he's a real skinny guy. Meeting him, long arms and skinny. So I think he can fight there for a minute, but I think ultimately he's going to have to move up to 140 because nobody's going to want to fight him down there. You know, because if they did, they would have been called out Robert Easter. If Robert Easter have so many vulnerabilities, in which he do have vulnerabilities, but there's a difference between having vulnerabilities and vulnerabilities that people can expose, they would have been fought him by now.
Yeah, I agree.
So he may have to move up to 140 within the next year or two, but hopefully he can unify at 135 like Pernell Whitaker did almost 30 years ago.
Yes, sir.
So
I think people should take a consideration too that Loma was doing good at 130, but it might not quite look the same at 135 because 2 out of 3 of Loma's opponents at 130 was naturally smaller men. So we don't quite know what he's going to look like at 135 yet. So, I mean, don't expect that that's got similar traits to Lipinets in Mikey Garcia, where the opponent does better than what people think.
And not just that, because some guys, we also got to let the audience know that sometimes a person can walk around at 175, but they can only fight at 130 or 135 or 140. So just because you're walking around at a certain weight, don't mean you can fight at that weight. You know what I'm saying? Because Ricky Hatton, aka Ricky Fadden, as a lot of people in the UK called him, because he was walking around at 180, 200 pounds from what was reported. He was only a 140, 147 fighter at very best.
Yep.
So what you walk around at and what you can fight at is two totally different things as well.
I agree. I concur on that because walking around weight and what the weight that you perform a certain task at is two different things. So I could be 175 pounds, for example's sake, but I'm not performing. I'm walking around, but to perform and do the things necessary to box, if I'm used to doing that at 147, that's two different things. Your walk around weight and your performance weight is two different things. That doesn't mean nothing. That's why I'm not into this weight bullying and shit. Like weight bullying, really, if you could look at it, those guys might have a harder weight cut because they're cutting so much weight. So that's why I don't go by none of that. Your performance weight and your walk around weight is two different fucking things altogether.
Just like Daniel Cormier in the UFC. He's probably coming in like 130, 142. I mean, not 130, 230, 240 at best, but he has to drop down to 200, 205 in the UFC and shit like that. Because you can tell this dude is bigger than 205. You're just not going to convince me no. Daniel Cormier is at 205 because I'm right at 190, 205 myself. And I look lean here. I'm a lean 205. And there are some people that look like a fucking big ass Teletubby in shit. You know what I'm saying? But again, just because you can fight at a certain weight, don't mean you can fight at that weight. Now, Floyd Mayweather was the handful of fighters that could fight at their walk around weight. What's that guy's name? Emil Griffin. Emil Griffin fought at middleweight, but he walked around at 165 pounds. Bernard Hopkins, you know, he was virtually basically a vegetarian. He was basically, you know, he might have ate chicken or something like that, but he was basically a vegetarian. He was walking around probably when he reigned at middleweight. He probably was walking around at 160s. He was walking around 165, 168. So it was easy for him to cut weight. But those are the few guys, the handful of guys. You know, Mike Tyson in his prime was walking around at 200, 215, fighting guys, knocking people out, making people scared as hell. Dudes, he was fighting dudes a lot bigger than he was. You know, even though he had that aggressive style, those guys were a lot bigger than him. They were taller and bigger than him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But those are rare fighters. They had the skill level to dig in deep and be like, hey, I may be the smaller dog, but I'm gonna fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't bite your motherfucking ass. I don't give a damn if you a pit bull up in this bitch. I'm gonna be the chihuahua that whoop your ass up in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yes, sir.
like Michael Spinks. Michael Spinks was walking around at the middleweight limit. You know what I'm saying? And he in the Larry Holmes fight, you know, I know how a lot of people feel about the Larry Holmes Michael Spinks fight. But Michael Spinks, Eddie Futch, who also trained Larry Holmes, and he was torn apart between those two because they were in the same stable. But he had to train both of these guys, and he had to tell them, he was like, hey, you cannot run during this workout. You're going to have to get big in order to withstand Larry Holmes' punches. You know,
Yes, sir.
so Michael Spinks, who basically cleaned out the light heavyweight division, he had to eat a lot and pump iron the whole training camp as well as spar. You know what I'm saying? Because he was so fucking small. I think he came in the first Holmes Spinks fight around 190, 195, some shit like that. He was a very small dude, man. So he
Yeah.
had to eat his way to the division because he was so fucking small. So weight divisions has to be respected. You know what I'm saying? Weight divisions had to be respected. And I'm not just talking about boxing, UFC as well.
Yeah, exactly. The logic don't change. And the guys like Mayweather, you can't really have a barometer on him anyways because it's Mayweather. And when you stop and you look at Mayweather now, Mayweather did good too because at the walk around weight because that was pretty well his natural weight. So because of Mayweather's work ethic, he eliminated problems that other people had in camps. If you're in a camp, you want to concentrate on training for the fight and implementing your game plan, not having to do that and have weight is an issue too. You know what I mean? You don't want to have the objective of training for the fight and dropping weight. And Floyd Mayweather, being steadily in the gym like that, he made it where he could be successful like that too, right? You don't ever want to go into a camp and have weight being too much of an issue either, right? So Mayweather's smart like that.
Oh yeah, and the thing about what Mayweather work ethic was so beautiful, man. The dude, a lot of his train people that he trained with was so jealous of him because he would be eating hot dogs and French fries and would still come in and make fucking weight. He
Yeah.
said that on his pre-fight interviews and stuff like that. Man, I'm around here eating pizza and hot dogs, and you motherfuckers still gotta make weight and shit like that. He was cocky with it, but hey, he earned that right. He earned that fucking right. You earned the right. You know, you can't. I don't really call it cocky because he earned that right. You know, you producing. It's only cockiness if you're not producing and shit like that. That's the way I look at it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, these guys would struggle making weight, basically starving themselves. The only thing they could do is drink water the whole weight count. You know, Emil Griffin, the late Emil Griffin, I should say, said it best. You need to fight at a weight that you're comfortable at. Because, like I say, when he was reigned as the middleweight champion, he was walking around at 165. You know what I'm saying? And it was easy for him to cut that 5 pounds off and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's not recommended for everybody because some people can shed 15 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds easy. But as you get older, your body's gonna reject a lot of that shit.
Agreed.
You know,
and
so it's
weight's a lot more weights is not as cut and dry as people think. Not to take away from the subject or keep harping on it, but I mean, a lot of people, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but they're not educated enough on weight. They think that if you weigh a certain thing or a certain weight, that it means something. It don't. I mean, we've seen that in the Cal Brook and Triple G fight. They're saying, well, Brook made this weight. It doesn't matter if Brook made that weight. For number one, he had to eat 12 times a day, so that goes to show that's not his natural weight. But he's not used to performing at that weight. It don't matter if he made the weight. The number on the scale says he made that weight. He's not used to campaigning with guys this big, which means he's not used to getting hit by guys this big, and he's not used to he's not used to implementing his game plan for 12 rounds at that weight. He's not used to performing at that weight. I can probably eat 12 cheeseburgers a day and get up to 190 pounds, but that don't mean I'm used to performing at 190 pounds. So weight does matter is what I'm trying to say. I'm agreeing with you, Jimmy.
Yeah, because even though Kell Brook came in at a bigger weight than Triple G, look what happened to him against Triple G. He got a fucked up eye socket behind that shit.
Exactly.
Because
he ain't never been hit by a guy like that before.
Because Triple G gonna stay in shape because he's gonna fight 3 and 4 times a year and shit like that. So of course he's gonna be able to make 160 easy. But when you got those long layoffs, that's where the weight packs on you and shit like that. So
yeah.
My point is to Mikey Garcia and any other boxer out there who respect the sport of boxing, respect the weight divisions, man. Simply respect the weight divisions, man. So, what do you think about the cruiserweight division? Because from what I understand, the cruiserweight division will be unifying all their belts. Who do you think win between Gassiev and Alexander Usyk?
I'm gonna lean towards the first guy you say. I have a fucking horrible time trying to pronounce his name, but that's who I'm leaning towards. If I had to bet, I'd go with him.
Alexander Usyk. Yeah. I think Alexander Usyk gonna win, but he better not get caught by Gassiev. He don't need to get caught, and it has already been mandated. Whoever wins this tournament has to fight Denis Lebedev.
Yes, sir.
It's already been mandated because he did so much ducking with Yornir Dorticus and over the years and stuff like that. And Yornir Dorticus finally got a title shot. He finally became the WBA champion, which Lebedev should have went on and fought him. The way Gassiev had a good game plan because I gave Dorticus the first four or four of the 5 rounds, and then Gassiev just made him gas out and stopped him in the 12th round. So Lebedev should have went on and fought him years ago, but people did not want to fight this guy, so they made it more difficult than he made it more difficult than it should be. So I'm leaning toward Usyk in that particular fight and stuff like that. And I have to give a shout out to Richard Schaefer for making the tournament happen not only in cruiserweight but in the super middleweight, because that is a big way to come back after having to lay off for 2 years because Golden Boy had a fuck shit contract when he left Golden Boy. You helped Golden Boy get to where they are because you secured a loan, and as well as Oscar De La Hoya having to put his own money, but he didn't put 100% of his money, so it was a 50-50 deal. So for him to use his leverage as a former bank president to make something happen, to help these guys get rewarded with $50 million afterwards, that's much respect to them. Much respect to Richard Schaefer.
I agree.
So it is what it is, man. So who you got between Adonis Stevenson, aka to some people, Adonis Ticket Shit, as people would call him? How do you think? How do you think Badou Jack versus Adonis Stevenson play out versus Badou Jack?
Sorry about that earlier there. I had a little bit of sound come in my basement. I had to relocate.
It's okay, brother. I have no problem, man. It's all good, brother.
I'm going to go with Adonis Stevenson myself, because he obviously got more experience with light heavyweight than Badou Jack does. I do think it plays a little bit of a role that Adonis Stevenson hasn't fought a mandatory in 5 years, so his level of competition hasn't always been up to par. Yeah. So you don't really know where a guy's at. But I don't believe he's as much of a one-punch knockout, just a one-handed fighter like most people think. But I would have to pick Adonis Stevenson on that one.
Yeah, my heart is with Badu Jack because I want to see the Rocky story, but it's kind of hard for me to go up against Adonis Stevenson though. But it's gonna be some resistance if Badu Jack don't get caught with that left hand of Adonis Stevenson, he can win this fight easily. I think he can.
Yeah,
He can win easily. Boy, you got a big ass house, man. Respect to your house, man. Big ball and Ty Legacy, man. That's why you call yourself Ty Legacy. Man. I see you, ball. I see you, boy. I see you. Well, upstairs, downstairs, equal lateral, perpendicular.
yes, sir.
He got so much. He got so much space in that damn house. He don't know what to do. You cutting up on me, man. You need to stop cutting up on me, Ty. Yeah. What a big ball and Ty Legacy, man. Oh man, he all over the house. This boy that went to the basement, to the game room, to the guest house. Big balling, man.
All right, sorry about that there.
It's all good, man.
Sorry
That's why I gotta make respect to it, but man, you got a beautiful house there, man. Very,
Thank you.
very spacious.
Sorry about that there. My motor went off in my basement.
Yeah, it's all good, man. But I think if as long as Badu Jack can smother uh, Adonis Stevenson's punches, then I think he'll beat Stevenson easily. But if he gets hit with that left hand, it's going to be nighty night for him. So
Yeah.
as long as he can get up close and make him fight, make it a dog fight. I think he could beat Adonis Stevenson. You know.
Yeah, that's I would agree with that assessment too, because the number one thing you want to do, or should be one of the top things to do with the power puncher is you gotta smother that man, because that takes away the punch space. A man can't usually these power punchers, they get the maximum power from the end of their punches. So if you can get in there and you can smother that man and take that punch space away, then you can be successful, right? And I think another key too is what you've seen in the Andre Ward fight with Kovalev, because Kovalev is a power puncher. You gotta roll with them punches too, right? You gotta take the steam off those punches. Those are the two main ways to deal with the power puncher, in my opinion, is to take his punch space away and roll any punches he does get in there.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree, man. So this weekend, I don't think I talked about Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker, as I call him,
Nope,
Hoshin
not yet.
Parker. But uh, how does Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker play out, and why it plays out that way?
I'm going to go with the general consensus here. I'm going to go with Anthony Joshua. I do think Parker is a live dog. You can't be at heavyweight and not be considered a live dog, because these guys are over 200 pounds. Any one of them could knock each other the fuck out. And he does show a little bit of athleticism. He's got a good jab. You know what I mean? He does have the skills, but I think with Anthony Joshua, even though he's a development fighter, he is a very conventional fighter. You could tell he's developing on the job. He gets critiqued for not having head movement on the outside, but he does have head movement on the inside. If you watch his fights, he's very defensively responsible. And just with that and the momentum that he's riding on, I have to go with Anthony Joshua in that fight. And I think Anthony Joshua can stop him, but later rounds, 9 or 10.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that too. I think the first few rounds is going to dictate how long the fight's going to be. But like I say, once Joseph Parker gets caught with a right hand or Anthony Joshua uppercut, it's going to be nighty night. And it could happen at any given time. It could happen in the first round. It could happen in the 10th round. You know what I'm saying? But Anthony Joshua can jab him to the body because Anthony Joshua is vulnerable to body shots. He's very vulnerable to that stifling jab to the body. So I think if he consistently does that and in clinches. He got to know when to clinch as well. To
Yes.
even make this a fight or have a chance to knock out Anthony Joshua and do the unexpected, he's got to know when to clinch, and he's got to make it a dog fight. He's got to eat his body alive and make him tired. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing he got to realize: if he catches that right hand, of Joshua, it's going to be nighty-nighty.
Yeah, and it should be noted too that Anthony Joshua is slimming down, so that might take care of some of the stamina issues that's been people's been mentioning about him. He is slimming down for that fight, and better keep in consideration. Anthony Joshua is open for shots to the head too, because even though I said he does move his head well and he's defensively responsible on the inside, on the outside he don't move that head. But Joshua Parker obviously has power because he is a heavyweight, but I don't think he has that overwhelming power at that division where he's going to just knock Anthony Joshua out. He's going to need, if he was to stop Anthony Joshua, he would need accumulation of punches, and I just don't think Anthony Joshua is too defensively unresponsible to get hit by the accumulation of shots. I just can't see that happening with Joshua Parker.
Yeah, Parker has good hand speed, but he has struggled with less than better competition. Look at Andy Ruiz. He should have had Andy Ruiz out of there years ago. And I say years ago. And then he struggled with Hughie Fury, who I would say don't have a lot of punching power. I would say Tyson Fury has a little bit more punching power than Hughie Fury, but he struggled with Hughie Fury. And some people say Hughie Fury won the damn fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was definitely controversial.
Yeah, and the fight was boring. I couldn't watch that fight in its entirety because every time I try to, I go to sleep watching that motherfucker. I just hate to say it. I don't like to call people boring, but let's just call the kettle for it is. I mean, that Invicta fight put on me yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Because I was watching an Invicta fight between these two ladies, and all the Brazilian fighter was doing it. No shade to Brazil because I love my Brazilian people. They black people just like we are. But you know what I'm saying? The fight was so fucking boring. She did so much fucking BJJ. I was like, man, come on. Because I was gonna do a post fight on the fight, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna do no fucking post fight on this boring ass shit. So that's how boring Hughie Fury versus Joseph Parker was. So every time I watch that fight, I just go to sleep. I want to analyze that shit, but I'm like,
yeah, I watched it just so I could get a gauge. To Joshua Parker, but yeah, it wasn't the most entertaining fight because I like to, especially if I'm talking boxing or a boxer, I like to at least watch. I got a criteria for myself where I watch at least 5 of their fights, right? But yeah, that wasn't the most entertaining one. That's not going down in the 30 for 30 classics. Let's put it that way.
Well, in Joseph Parker better use that jab to the body like the other brother did, the African brother did. He needs to exercise that jab if he want to have a fucking chance. Roll that jab to the body. Otherwise, if I don't see any of that, I'm gonna know right then and there. This fight is gonna somebody's gonna get KO'd, and it definitely ain't gonna be Anthony Joshua.
He definitely got to use a jab to the body now, because like I said, Anthony Joshua is slimming down, so he might have actually fixed an aspect in his game where he gets stamina issues. So that makes it even more of an obstacle for Joe Parker. He definitely should. You should always use your jab, but he should definitely use that jab to the body even more so now, because Anthony Joshua is starting to. He took an aspect out of his game that people were critiquing him on. So it's definitely vital that Joshua Parker go to that body. Definitely.
Oh, yeah, man. And, Parker needs to not get scared, because that's another thing, because you are going to be fighting on neutral territory. And, just don't get scared of this dude, because any sign of intimidation, Joshua is going to take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? And let me say this as well. Joshua, let the dude let Deontay Wilder jump in the ring. Stop sending your minions like Silly Bitch White, a.k.a. Dillian White, after Deontay Wilder. Just stop sending your minions and go on and fight the dude. Unify the belts so we can have one sanctioning fee and not 4 different sanctioning fees and shit like that. Let's go on and get this promotion popping. If you do win, which I don't see Joseph Parker winning, but anything, that's the reason why I'm giving keys to the fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I took Joshua's side a little bit, or looked at his side. Like, I was thinking too, like, okay, it looks very bad when you don't want a man in the ring with you, especially when it's good for promotion. I mean, he let Klitschko do it and others do it. But I was actually starting to think, well, maybe this is a unification fight for Joshua, and it is a history fight. So he might not want Wilder in the ring based on the fact that Wilder has been promoting the fight. And he might not want him to rain on his parade. And to be honest, I could kind of see Joshua's side on that if I'm going to be objective about it. But however, I wouldn't use that theory to defend Joshua on it, because I can't, because they've been looking like they've been so dismissive of the fight so far that I don't feel strongly about that situation enough to defend Joshua on it. I'm just saying it could be a possibility, but it's very well it couldn't be, because Joshua didn't state that was the reason, and now we got Joshua saying freeze him out and stuff. So I mean, I can't blame people for thinking that he's acting scary, by no means. But I think that freezing out shit, I think that's just a bunch of bullshit. I'm not getting mad about it, because I think there's too much money involved for when that fight does go down. I think that's Joshua pushing his weight around. You know what I mean? I don't think there's very much validity to it. But I mean, I don't blame people for thinking Josh was scary, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think with Joshua, man, Joshua needs to stop acting scared, because that's what it appears to be. Or come out and say, hey, like he said months ago, he was talking shit, and then when Deontay Wilder was like, you fight right now, then he's kind of got back in scaredy deal. But say what you said months ago after the Klitschko fight. If he wants this work, come get this work. He said this on live air on British radio. He said, if he wants this work, come get this work. And then Deontay Wilder took that as an opportunity to be like, what you say, motherfucker? So he didn't jump back in he became a scaredy cat again. So he need to cut the shit. Just go on and get free promotion of the possible unification fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, just go on and fight the man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
go on and fight the man.
I agree. That's why I said I thought that was a possibility when I was talking in terms about his unification fight. He might not want him to rain on his parade, but since they've been acting so dismissive, I would never defend that. And like you said, there is other options. Okay, let's say for argument's sake, what I'm thinking is a possibility of why Joshua doesn't want him in the ring is right. There's still other options. You could easily call out Wilder and say, if you're serious, let's get this done on your unification fight and on that history fight. That's good for promotion too. You don't even really have to have Deontay Wilder in the ring. If you don't want him in the ring that bad, don't have him in the ring, but tell him you want to fight.
Exactly. Now you made a great point right there. If you don't want him jumping in the ring, let him know after the fight, I'm gonna whoop your motherfucking ass. You say I'm scared, I'm gonna treat you like I'm scared, because I'm gonna beat the shit out your motherfucking ass. And
what better time to say it in your unification fight and in your history fight? What better fucking time to say it?
And not just that. You know what I'm saying? My thing is stop using things like if he hooting and hollering, and we supposed to hoot and holler about a big money fight. That's a big money fight. We haven't had a undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis in the game. You know what I'm saying? So of course he gonna hoot and holler about big money, because you the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. You need to be hooting and hollering about your legacy, man. That's something nobody can take away from you, man. That's a Hall of Fame defining fight. No matter what happens after that, if Deontay Wilder gets knocked out or Anthony Joshua get knocked out after that particular unification fight, you gonna be the man that people gonna respect. People don't remember Buster Douglas; they remember Mike Tyson more than they remember Buster Douglas. You know what I'm saying? He won a title that was unified by Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? And that's all they remember, him beating Mike Tyson, beating the big bad Tyson, but they don't remember. You know, you ask a person on the street, the average person on the street, they're gonna be like, "Hey, I remember Tyson. I don't remember Buster Douglas." There are some people that don't know who the fuck Buster Douglas is. You know what I'm saying? So shit.
Yeah.
Make the fight. That's all I'm saying. Make the fucking fight.
So yeah, that's what I mean. It's kind of confusing. Like Joshua's claim, from what I've seen, is pretty well that Deontay Wilder, when it comes to the negotiation parts, he's not really serious. And I'm definitely by no means, to make it clear, one of these guys that worry about ticket sales in these fighters' pockets, because I don't care, like, results. But if we stop and look at the history of these things, that's not against the realm of possibility. Not that I'm saying it's true, because we did see Deontay Wilder say 50-50. We all know that's unreasonable. So I mean, whether Joshua's bullshitting or not, you don't know for sure if he isn't bullshitting, because we did see Wilder once kind of stall the fight on his own by saying 50-50. Now, I understand most people say, well, that's how you start negotiations, but that's not a negotiation when you say 50-50 or no fight. That's a demand. So I don't know, man. I'm not in behind the scenes, but put it this way. If Joshua wasn't acting as dismissive of Wilder, it like he has been, I might defend Joshua a little bit more, but because he's been dismissive, I can't defend him. I can't blame people for thinking that he's scared. You know what I mean? There's a reason why the general consensus thinks he's scared. I'm just saying, if we look at it from both men's perspective. But I also heard Deontay Wilder say, I'll take whatever they want, which is 40%. So then that goes out the window.
Yeah,
I think Wilder wants to fight.
I think Wilder was using that as a negotiation tactic, because of the 50-50 as a negotiation tactic, because when you're in negotiations, whether you negotiate for your house, your car, or something like that, you know, you go high and then you work your way in the middle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if he don't start at 50-50, then they're going to be.
I agree with that.
Go ahead. I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But what I was trying to tell people was the exact same example you get. But there is a difference between, if you're going to sell me your car, if you do start high, like that's how negotiations works, you start high so that you actually get what you want to get. But the whole point of a negotiation is you got to be willing to negotiate. So when you put out a number out there and you say firm, no fight, well, that's not a negotiation. That's a demand, right? That'd be like if you were negotiating to buy my house and you said 50,000 and I said no, 60,000 firm. I'm showing you I'm not negotiating at all, right? But that's not me shooting on Wilder. That's just me looking at it from both sides, both point of views, right? Because me keeping it down the middle, I did tell people, by Wilder doing that and saying firm, it at the very least gives them an excuse not to make the fight, because he's being unreasonable. Not that I get these fighters' pockets, but I mean, we all know who draws the most money. But I'm not by no way excusing Joshua if he's ducking him either. So.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So yeah, you know, main thing is I want that fight to happen, just like I want Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman and a possible unification with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence to happen.
Yeah, you know? I agree. So
I agree. It is what it is.
A fan of boxing over boxers. It's got to be a fan of boxing over boxers. That's why I don't get into the money stuff. I want to see the results. I don't want to see my favorite fighters. I want to see the results of fights, not see somebody protected. So I wasn't saying it to put that across. I was just saying it for both sides of the pond. But yeah, I'm definitely a fan of boxing over any boxer. I want to see these fights. That's why I don't get in these comment sections where they want to make excuses because this guy sells this and that. I don't give a shit. As a fan, you should just want to see the fight.
Exactly. And the thing is, what people are not realizing is, if you unify these divisions, the money is going to fucking be there.
Yes.
You know, point blank, period, in the discussion. It's going to be there. If you unify the main divisions like 147, 160, 175, even fucking cruiserweight, where the winner is going to make $50 million if they win the cruiserweight tournament, the money's going to fucking be there. You know what I'm saying? And the same with the heavyweight division. You know, because when you're mentioned up there with Ali, Tyson, Lennox Lewis, Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, you're mentioned with those guys, the money gonna be there. I mean, no matter again, if you get knocked out after you unified all four titles, people ain't gonna remember the person that beat you after you unified the titles. People gonna remember the guy that unified the titles. So just going to make these fights happen. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I actually believe the money thing's kind of an excuse to take the path of least resistance to get the same amount of money, I think, because you're absolutely right what you're saying, because if you elevating your status, like I told you before, comes elevating your money. So I agree with you on that. Like, I don't always buy this, well, the biggest risk, less reward. Like, the reward is going to come either way you look at it. It's whether you want to take the top guy route or you want to take the path of least resistance. So yeah, that little fuckery shit there doesn't really fool me, brother.
Exactly. And the thing is, if Terrence Crawford ends up beating Errol Spence, man, his legacy is gonna go through the roof. I mean, let's not talk about if he unifies all of 147. If he becomes the uh, undisputed champion at welterweight, man, you gotta put him in the top 10, no less than the fucking top 10 all time. Unify four belts in this era. Come on, man.
and go to 147 is undisputed. Mayweather didn't even do that.
No, he was very close because of Zab Judah. Zab Judah, if people don't remember, Zab Judah already signed up to fight Floyd Mayweather for the undisputed title. But what ended up happening was he took a tune-up fight against Carlos Baldomir, and Baldomir was only able to pay the sanctioning fee of the WBC and not the WBA and the IBF. So what ended up happening was when Baldomir defeated Zab Judah, the WBA title was vacant because I remember it like yesterday, and the IBF title was still with Zab Judah. But Carlos Baldomir was recognized as the real welterweight champion because Zab Judah was the undisputed champion. So that was the reason why he was unable to get the undisputed title at 147. And the same with 140. He tried to make the fight with what's that guy's name? Costa Tszyu, who was the undisputed 140 champion. But what ended up happening was he ended up getting stripped, and Arturo Gatti ended up winning the vacant WBC title. So Mayweather ended up winning that title, and it wasn't no fights down there, other than Ricky Hatton. And then also Top Rank wasn't willing to pay Mayweather the money he wanted, which Mayweather was well entitled to the money he wanted. You know what I'm saying? Because he was the undisputed, he was the pound for pound fighter in the world, the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. By the time he fought Arturo Gatti, he was number one pound for pound. So Bob Arum made the mistake of not trying to make the Oscar De La Hoya fight and not trying to pay Mayweather what he wanted, because the money was there to pay him what he asked for. The money was there. It was more than there, but Bob Arum wasn't willing to bend. So Mayweather was like, you know what? I can make my own money. So guess what? I'm gonna when I get through beating Zab Judah's ass, I'm gonna pay you I'm gonna pay you my $8 million purse, or the $8 million that it costs to pay off my contract off. I'm gonna make this fight with Carlos Baldomir. I'm gonna pay him $1.5 million. I'm gonna pay myself $8 million. Take the rest of the revenue, and then I'm gonna make this Oscar De La Hoya fight. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Mayweather did from there, and the rest is history there. So you're totally right on that. Mayweather never unified a title at any division. Well, I should say became undisputed at any division, but there's logistics to that as well.
Yeah, and I don't say that. I don't say that to put down Mayweather. I'm not even comparing Crawford and Mayweather in terms of fighters, but basically what I'm saying, that if Terrence Crawford gets the sculpts that he wants, the victories that he wants at 147, somebody like Mayweather could look at Terrence Crawford's body of work and scoff at it. He'll have a very credible body of work. Hall of Fame status, that's it. First ballot, that's it.
Oh yeah, even if Terrence Crawford had multiple losses and stuff like that. After that point, the fact was he unified when it counted most. He became undisputed when it counted most. And then
Yep.
he's already, if he was to do that, he would be a lineal champion at 3 different weight classes. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
So I mean, that's gonna be hard to compete. You can even argue that he would be a better. He accomplished more than Mayweather in terms of unification. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? You could
Yep.
argue that. So it is what it is with that. So do you have anything else before we get off this live stream, sir?
No, I just like to thank you. Thanks for having me on your channel. Hopefully that's because I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. But if you didn't mind, I just wanted to say my channel's Thai Legacy. If anybody, it's not a very conclusive channel. It's basically just Google chats and people sharing their boxing opinions. But I'm not opposed to putting people on there if they want to go on there or if they want to watch the live feeds. Usually have my boy Jimmy here on, Trey X, Sanctus, other diehard boxing fans, Corey Lee, and even if you want to chime in on the chat section or come in on the videos, feel more than welcome. It's just honest down the middle boxing opinions. We try to keep emotion out of our picks and our ranks because we're a fan of boxing over boxers. So feel free to come on over.
Most definitely, most definitely. And much respect to my brother, Ty Legacy, man. And anytime you want to come on down, man, you're welcome too, brother.
Perfect. That works for me.
Yes. So I'm gonna end this live stream with my boy Ty Legacy out of Canada. And this is your boy live and direct in full effect after 832. Y'all already know how Jimmy J Smooth do. Good night, and y'all have a blessed one. Peace out.
Peace.